Today's Gemara and Sukkah Daf Mem Vav. All the learning should be as chus for Esrei Basar Meir. The learning for the entire month of El Anila Daiti V'Daiti Li. The chus of the entire Chavura should be an end to chus Ila Nishmasa. As well as the chus for same for man of V'Eng Chaim Mitzvah Shalom Zim Reiz Zar Bas Kanan Did Basim As Chayisei Shalom Ben Delay Rezer Delay Mishlam As Namahi Bashav Veigu Shechan Shemom Matil Dinam Cham Reiz V'Chaim Metzil Rachas Amuzah Dinayin V'Sheminas Viva V'Yagor V'Chal Zon Azil Huva Rivka Bas Hashem Dazim Echlaster B'Sai Shar Chayle Yisrael. We're on the very bottom of Memheim and Beis. Before we begin, I'd like to clarify the three opinions that we just had. We ran a little bit into gumble, whatever the word is, at the end of yesterday's shir. Let's just get the three opinions clear. We're discussing the mitzvah of lulav and the mitzvah of sukkah. And the question is, how many brachos do we recite on each? Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel was opinion number one, and Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel came along and he said, lulav, 7 different brachos. Each day is different. And over here, actually, you could see 3 lines from the wide lines. Yehuda Amar Shmuel says, lulav is 7 and sukkah is 1. Opinion number 1. Opinion number 2 was Rabbi Rav Chana. Was the exact opposite. This is the point I didn't speak out clearly. Sukkah is 7 and lulav is 1. Why? Because sukkah is deraisa. And opinion number 3 was that everything is equal. Achadzeh, v'achadzeh, shiva. They're both 7. And we concluded yesterday by Rav Yosef saying, go with Rabbi Rav Chana, the opinion number 2, that all the Moraim hold like in sukkah, meaning that sukkah is going to be 7 days and lulav is 1 day. Again, opinion number 1, lulav 7, sukkah 1. Opinion number 2, sukkah 7, lulav 1. Opinion number 3, both 7. Again, with regard to the bracha, Rav Yosef just taught us we're going with the middle opinion. Sukkah is 7 and lulav is 1. Meisvei says the Gemara. We're going to ask a question, on Rav Yochanan. Rav Yochanan again was the second opinion that said Sukkah is 7 and lulav is 1. That Rav Yosef just said we should follow. Meisvei asked the Gemara, turning over to today's daf of Mem Vav Amid Aleph. Meisvei says the Gemara, says the Brisa, Ha'isa lulav last way. If someone makes a lulav for himself, Aimer says the Brisa, Baruch Shechana v'Kivanu v'Ganu l'zman hazeh. Not lalatzis, but you take the lulav, Aimer. Says the Brisa. You make a bracha all 7 days. So an explicit brisa that you make 7 brachas, 7 different days on the lulav. Of course, not like Rabbi Yochanan that said there's only 1 bracha on lulav. And now the brisa continues, and the brisa says, if someone makes a sukkah, Baruch, you go into the sukkah, Asher Kishanim Zatzim Zanu Leisheba Sukkah, Vekivan Shebirch Yom Rishon, Shavein Mavarich. And now the Brisa says on Sukkah only 1 bracha. So it's a double whammy. It says you make 7 brachas on lulav and 1 on Sukkah. And Rabbi Yochanan said you make 7 on Sukkah and 1 on lulav. Kasha lulav, kasha sukkah. A double kasha on Rav Yochanan, says the Gemara. We can answer what? When we have a Beis HaMikdash, when we have the real full din of lulav, as Rashi, 2 lines from the top points, Mikdash, all 7 days, causes a din da'araisa. But when we don't have the Beis HaMikdash, that's going to be the other price that says we only make 1 brach on lulav. Ella says the Gemara, Sukkah kasha. We're stuck. What is the story with Sukkah? One hand, Rav Yochanan said you should make a brach all 7 days. Another hand, we just had a price that said you only make 1 bracha on the sukkah. Answers the Gemara, the classical teretz, Tanohi. It's a machlekes Tanoim whether you make separate brachas on the sukkah throughout the 7 days of Yantif, or you make 1 bracha. The Tanya, as we learned in a brayz, that tefillin calls man sheminichim avarich alav alei and divrei Rebbe. Rebbe says tefillin every time you put in your tefillin, new bracha. Chamayim remeinam avarich ala shachas b'vad, only once in the morning. Says the Gemara, we're going to see it's the same thing. The Rebbe says you make a bracha each day. It's going to be like the bracelet says you make 7 brachas on lulav, on sukkah, Whereas the Chacham that say you only make 1 bracha in the morning, it's going to be like the second bracelet that we just quoted. They only make 1 bracha on the sukkah. Itmar, says the Gemara, now that we just explained ourselves, that Rav Yochanan is going to be going with Rebbe that calls man sheminicha mevarich, and that is the reason you're going to make separate brachas on the Sukkah, Itmar, Abaye Amar Hilchsa Kirebi, V'Rava Amar Hilchsa Kirabanan. Abaye says you go with Rebbe, like we just said, Kolzman Sheminichim Mavarich, which will translate Kolzman that you go into the Sukkah Mavarich. And Rava says no, we go with the Rabbanan, you only make one bracha. Amar Ramari Brad Mashmo Chazina Leilu Rava Dlavik Kishmaitza. I saw Rava that he didn't do what he said. Rava said he'd do like the Rabbanan, you only make one bracha. I saw not. Ella, you know what I saw Rava doing? Ella maktim v'koi v'ayol lebeis. Each morning he would get up early, go to the bathroom. V'nafik umashi yadei. He would go and he would wash his hands. Umanach tefillin, he would put on his tefillin mavarich, and he would make a bracha each and every day. And what? But Rava just said that we should go with the Rabbanan. They only make one bracha. And if he had to use the bathroom another time, what would he do the next time? Should sound familiar. We go to the bathroom, we come out, he washes his hands, and make another bracha. So what do we see? We see Rava made a bracha each and every day. Not like he said, like the Chachamim, rather like Rabbi, rather that he would make a bracha every time. So what's going on with Rava? Says the Gemara, Vanan nami Rebbe Avdinan. And we as well, the Gemara just proved that Abaye went with Rebbe. And the Gemara asked that Rava seemingly practiced himself like Rebbe, even though he said not that way. Says the Gemara, Vanan, and we do like Rebbe, Umavarche Kol Sheva, we make a bracha all 7 days on the Sukkah, and as well, of course, on tefillin, as everyone knows, anytime one would have to use the bathroom, certainly for Gedalim, which is when you have to take off your tefillin, you would make a bracha. Says the Gemara, Amar Marzacha. We just said a moment ago that everyone goes with the opinion of Rebbe. Let's see, is that really true? Amar Marzacha. Chazina, I saw later Rav Papi, Tcholemas the Manach Tefillin, that each time the Rav Papi would put on Tefillin, Mevarich, he would make a bracha. Each time you would put on tefillin, even many times. Rabbanan Dvi Rav Ashi, the Rabbanan in the yeshiva Rav Ashi, Koleim as Dimash Meshibu Mevarchi. Whenever they would touch their tefillin, they would make a bracha. So different ways, different applications of this din of Rabbi. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, and that's the end of the discussion of tefillin. A bit of a machlok is how we take out the din of Rabbi, whether it's each time they put on the tefillin, each time they touch the tefillin, or concluding that with regard to Sukkah, everyone is going with Rebbe, that everyone's going to agree that each time you enter, each new entering, I should say, you're going to have to make a bracha on the Sukkah. Omar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, says Rav Yehuda in the name of Shmuel, mitzvah lulav kol shiva. The mitzvah of lulav is all 7 days. Each day, like we just said a moment ago, you make a new bracha. Rav Shimon Levi Amar Yom Rishon mitzvah lulav. No, just on the first day is the mitzvah of lulav. Apology that this page is not cooperating. There you go. Each day, just the first day you make a bracha. Mikan ve'elach. Every day afterwards is mitzvahs zekenim. Is a din d'Rabbanan. Mitzvah zekenim. Interesting lashon showing din d'Rabbanan. Therefore, you don't make a bracha. For Rav Yitzchak Gamar, a third opinion called Yama mitzvah zekenim. Each day is a d'Rabbanan. Va'afilu yom rishon. Even on the first day, that you never make a bracha. So what do we do with lulav? 3 fascinating opinions. Make a bracha every day. Make a bracha day 1. Never make a bracha on the lulav. 3 opinions, what's going on with the mitzvah of lulav? Says the Gemara, what's going on? You just told me, what did Rabbi Yitzchak you just say? You just said that every day is d'Rabbanan. But we already learned Yom Rishon d'Oraisa, that the first day is d'Oraisa. So how could Rabbi Yitzchak say every day is d'Rabbanan? Says the Gemara, no, you know what Rabbi Yitzchak meant? Ema, bar miyayim rishon, except for the first day. So now everyone is anticipating the Gemara's next question. Yochi, I know the Rabbi Shimon Levi. Then that's Rabbi Shimon Levi who said that every day after the first day is the Rabbanan. Ema, you're right. V'chein Amar Rav Yitzchak, so we don't have 3 opinions. We have 2 opinions, whether you make a bracha every day or just on the first day. Says the Gemara, Va'afu Rav Savar, and even Rav himself holds Kol Shiva mitzvahs lulav. Each day of the 7 days, it's a mitzvah of lulav, even though, and therefore you're going to make a bracha on all 7 days. How do I know that? You have to make a bracha, and therefore just like you have to make a bracha in each and every day on the Ner Chanukah, so too we're going to have to make a bracha each day on the lulav. What's the proof from Chanukah that it's a din derabanan, and even though it's a din derabanan, you make your bracha every day. So says the Gemara, the same thing is going to be with regard to the lulav that Rav is going to hold. Even if you want to tell me it's a din zikanim, it's a zikanim like you just said, it's only a din derabanan, still you're going to make a bracha each and every day. Now once we mention Chanukah, says the Gemara of Yirmiyah Amar Raya Ner Shel Chanukah Zarech Levarich. Once you see the Ner Chanukah, you have to make a new bracha. My Mevarich, what's the bracha when you see a Ner Chanukah? Amar Rav Yudah Yom Rishon Amalik. The first day you'd say Mevarich Shalosh, 3 brachas. Haraya, but when you see it, Mevarich Shtayim Mikan Ve'elach Malik, when you light it, Mevarich Shtayim Ve'raya Mevarich Achas. My Mevarich, what's the bracha? Baruch Hashem Shanim Zazav Yisanu Lahalik Ner Shel Chanukah. And therefore, that's the bracha when you light it. And now the Gemara asks the obvious question, which is really the impetus and the underlying detail of this entire Gemara. What's going on? If it's a din d'Rabbanan, how can you make a bracha? How can you say Asher Kedishanu b'mitzvahs of mitzvanu that Hashem you commanded us? Says the Gemara, V'echad where did Hashem command us? There's no commandment. It's only a din d'Rabbanan. Says the Gemara, Milois Hasur, the pasuk that says you have to follow the din d'Rabbanan, that is makes it into a din d'Oraisa. A second source, Sha'al Avicha v'Yedezcha. Ask your father, and he's going to tell you. Which another source to follow the Dini D'Rabbanan. 2 different psukim, famous Gemara. Loisasur Shalavicha, teach me even on Dini D'Rabbanan we can make a bracha, and that is the reason why we're going to make a bracha both on the Chanukah and on Lulav, even if you hold that it's going to be a D'Rabbanan. The next line is debatable if we say it, but let's just read it quickly. My memayet b'zman ema mayineis neis kol yom. You say no, there's a neis every day, so of course we make the bracha on the neis each and every day. Says the Gemara, let's go. What did we just say a moment ago? We said that Rav, where did he learn his din from? He learned his din from Chanukah. That, just like in Chanukah we make a bracha, even though it's din d'Rabbanan, so too, the din by Lulav. Comes the Rav Nachman Yitzchak, and he says, it's explicit, Matzla Behedya. He learned this explicitly. Amar Rav, Kol Shiva Mitzvahs Lulav. Each day is a mitzvah. You are inferring from the fact that Rav said that by Chanukah, straight up Raisa, Rav holds each every day is a mitzvah of Lulav, and therefore you make a bracha. Tanu Rabbanan. We're 5 lines into the white lines. Menvavam and Aleph. We're now going to quote the previous brisa. He says, "Succah mayamer brach shechianu nichlas leishibat enter the Succah mer brach shechianu zazavzan leishibat Succah." He says, "Succah medes. If your Succah is ready standing, a suya medes. It's standing." And already created. If you're able to do something new, make something new in the Sukkah Mavarich, you make a bracha of Shechianu. If not, then you make the bracha when you enter into the Sukkah. You'll make the 2 brachas of Shechianu and Leishev Basukah. Omar Ravashi comes along Ravashi and he says, which hopefully should sound familiar. Chazina leil Rav Kahana. I saw Rav Kahana to come to the Kulai Akasa de Kedusha. He said all the brachas on the kais of Kiddush, which of course is what we do. We don't make a Shechianu when we make the Sukkah. We don't make a Leishev Basukah the first time we enter into the Sukkah. Rather, we make all the brachas on Kiddush on the first night. We make the Kiddush, we make the Shechianu, and we make the Leishev Basukah or Bisukah. Tanu Rabbanan. Hayyalavana mitzvahs harbe. Someone has many mitzvahs. Today's daf is loaded. Someone has many mitzvahs in front of it. I remember what he say. Baruch Hashem Shanim Zazav Yisanu Ala Ha Mitzvahs. He makes one bracha on all the mitzvahs. Rav Yehuda Aimer, nope, nothing doing. Mevarich al kol achas v'achas of neyatzma. You make a bracha each and every one by itself. And Amar Rav Zeir v'Timer Rav Chanina bar Papi. It looks like Rav Yehuda, which of course is what we do. We make a bracha on each and every item in front of us. Every mitzvah deserves its own bracha. Ve'Amar Rav Zeira. V'Timer Rav Chanina bar Papi. My time with Rav Yehuda, where Rav Yehuda get this din that you make separate brachas on all the mitzvahs. Chsev Baruch Hashem b'yoyim yoyim. It says we bless Hashem each and every day. We only bless Hashem by day and not by night. I know it teaches you that each and every day. Ten loy, give to him, give to Hashem. Mein berchaisav, some sort of blessing. Did we say the bracha for that day? Hachinami, so to v'yer v'chol davar v'davar dan lo mein berchaisav. Each and every item we make it similar for that which item needs, and therefore when we have many mitzvahs, he says Rav Yehuda, we make a separate bracha over each and every one. V'amar Rav Zeir v'dim Rav Chanina bar Papa. Boreish like midas Kadosh Baruch Hu midas basar v'dam. Hashem is not like man. Midas basar v'dam kli reikon. When a man has an empty vessel, what happens? happens turning over to machzik. If there's room in it, malei machzik, you could hold what it pours into it. Malei, excuse me, if it's a kli reikon, if it's empty, machzik, you could pour something into it. Malei, if the vessel is full, and a machzik can't pour into it. Aval midas the Kadosh Baruch Hu is not that way. Malei when it's full, machzik you can pour more. Reikon when it's empty, and a machzik you cannot pour in anything else. Shenemar v'hayim shamaya tishma. If you can listen, you sure listen. Shamaya tishma v'im lavlo tishma. If you heard, you'll hear more. If you have Torah, you'll get more. If not, you get nothing. Davarachim shamaya b'yasha tishma v'chadash v'miyivta l'vavcha shav lo tishma. But if you turn away your heart, you're not going to get anything. If you listen to the old and you do chazara, shamaya b'yashan, then you'll be able to learn new things. Which give us impetus to do chazara, impetus to learn more. Because the more we learn, the more we'll be able to learn, the more we'll be able to know. Says the Gemara Miyada Tinaikis. The Mishnah concluded with this interesting statement. And the Mishnah said that they would grab from the children and they would eat the esrogim. Says the Gemara, what's going on? Amar Rav Yochanan, Esrog b'shvi aser b'shmini mutter. On the 7th day of Sukkot, you're not allowed to use the esrog, but on the 8th day, then you're allowed to use the esrog. But Sukkah, the Sukkah, afilu b'shmini asur, even on shmini atzeres, you're not allowed to use. Rish Lakish Amar Esrog afilu b'shvi nami mutter, even on day 7 is yes allowed to be used. So we have a machlekes on day number 7. What is the status of the esrog? Rav Yochanan says you cannot use it, whereas Rish Lakish says you could yes use it. But my kamifgi, what's this machlekes? Says the Gemara, it's set aside for its mitzvah. Therefore, you can't use it on day 7, says Rabbi Yochanan. Excuse me. The opposite. That's Rish Lakish just for the mitzvah. So once you do the mitzvah on day number 7, you're not allowed to use it. Whereas if Yochanan says no, the Kli Yoim is Katzai, it's set aside for the entire day, and therefore you're not allowed to use it afterwards. So Ezei Rish Lakish to Rav Yochanan, he asks Rav Yochanan, who says you're not allowed to use the esrog on day number 7, even after you finish the mitzvah. What did our Mishnah say? They would grab the lulav and they would eat the esrog. My laugh. What's this talking about? It's not just the children, even the Gedalim. It sounds like they would grab their esrog and use it. Seemingly it's referring to on day number 7. After they would do the mitzvah, we see that you're allowed to have benefit, not like you Rav Yochanan suggested. Says the Gemara, no, that's not what the Mishnah meant. Tinoikes davka meant only from the children, and therefore, because it's not a full-fledged mitzvah being done with their esrog and lulav, but from an adult, a gadol, Rav Yochanan would hold his own that you're not allowed to use it even after you do the mitzvah. Igad Yamri says the Gemara, another way of saying the above, Rav Yochanan Rish Lakish, the opposite. Now Rav Yochanan is asking, what did the Mishnah say? And on that we answer, no, what did I feel like gedalim? That's just the normal case, 2 different ways of learning the same Gemara. Let's go deeper into the din of Rav Yochanan. The Rav Yochanan, according to Rav Yochanan, says according to Rav Yochanan, he said in day number 7, you're not allowed to use the esrog, but you're allowed to use the sukkah. On day number 8, one more time. Rav Yochanan said esrog b'shvi is aser and shmini is mutter, but the sukkah is aser even on the 8th day. So you want to know why did Rav Yochanan say on day number 8 you're allowed to use the esrog, but you're not allowed to use the sukkah? Why? So that's our Papa's question to Abaye. Abaye responds, Amar le Sukkah de chazil ben hashmashos. Sukkah is fit for ben hashmashos. Dietz Amar le sudas. If you get a meal, by mesav gabe, you'll go sit in the sukkah. Umechel begavan, you'll eat in it. Therefore, it's katzoi lebin hashmashos, and therefore of course, the rule is once something is set aside ben hashmashos, you cannot use it. It's katzoi lekuliyayma, dishmini, and therefore says the Gemara. Says, explaining to the opinion of Rav Yochanan, that is the reason it's you're not going to be able to use a sukkah. Seeds during Ben Hashmashos, you might go into your sukkah and eat. The entire next day, you can't eat in it. However, Esra, you don't take your Esra night. It's not set aside for Ben Hashmashos, and that is why Rav Yochanan said, when it comes to the Esra, you're less allowed to take it. When it comes to the sukkah, you're not allowed to get any benefit from the sukkah on day number 8. 8. The Levi Omar comes along. Levi, another din about Esrog. Esrog afilu b'shmini aser. Even a din of rain is aser. Levi's even more machmir. V'avud Shmuel Omar Esrog b'shvi aser b'shmini mutter. Come avud Shmuel. That said it's only aser in day 7. Got up and shuts Levi, and come Rav Zera. He shuts the avud Shmuel. Each one held like the other. The Rav Zera Esrog shenifsla aser la'achlai kol shiva. So we see only 7 days. Amar Rav Zera comes along Rav Zera. Once we brought down Rav Zera's din about the Esrog, we go to another din of Rav Zera. And with this we're going to conclude. Amar Rav Zera loy likni inish shana liyanuka b'yema tava kama. A person should not give a child the Hashanas, referring to all down minim, on the first day of Yantif, a famous Gemara. My taima the yanuka makni kani. A child could acquire something, and therefore he'll have it. But aknuye loy makni, he can't give it out to someone else. And therefore, you know what's going to happen if you give your child your lulav and esrog, gedasim aravais, vishtachach tchanafik b'lulav sheina shalai. And therefore, you're not going to have a lulav. On day number 1, you need to have shalai, that's be yours. And if you give it to your kid, you're going to be up the creek without a paddle. And therefore, do not do it on day number 1. V'amar Rav Zera, I know I said we'll finish, let's go a drop further. V'amar Rav Zera, lo le'menish li'nuka di'avina l'cha miti. Do not tell a child, I'm going to give you something. And don't give it to him. A bit, I don't want to say controversial Gemara, but everyone should listen. You should never tell your child, I'm going to give him something and not give it to him. Why? Because you're going to teach the child to say shaker. If you tell your child something, you don't give it to him. You're teaching your kid to speak shaker, and therefore you should not do it. And now we will actually go a drop further. Apologies. Let's just wrap it up. We'll plug the Rav Yechon, Rav Shimon, Lakish, the Itmar. Actually, you know what? We'll pick up from here. We're going to go back to now the Machlekes of Rav Yechon, Rav Shimon, and Rish Lakish regarding to the Esrog and Din number 7. But we'll pick it up from here, Mer Hashem, tomorrow.